Professor and Chair of Political Science.
Hello.
Thank you so very much indeed. Joining us stateside, so we appreciate your time there in California. Wow, what do you make of it all?
Hey, I think Andy did a great job there because, look, this is an important pivot speech. She is laying out not just her kind of vision for America, but reorienting her campaign. So those first 5 minutes when she goes at Donald Trump, that's important, but she can't spend the last week prosecuting the case. There's less than 150 hours. So the campaigns have changed. The campaigns have moved to a place where they are drawing out their voters. And in that place of drawing out their voters, okay, so they're drawing out their voters. As they do that, and they begin pushing forward, all these polls that we have, there's a lot of kind of wiggle room going into those polls because the parties are actually, and the partisans are conducting those polls. So what you're seeing is a close race in Pennsylvania, in Georgia. That's all true, but you have to lay forth a vision that is prospective and gives people something to turn to. That's why you have the backdrop of the White House. That's why you pick the ellipse. That's the voice and the vision that you're trying to lay out to show that you're presidential, contrasting that with Trump. Elections are about contrast, they're about difference, but governing is directly the opposite, about bringing people together. That's the needle she has to thread this last week.
Okay, and do you think maybe people have already made up their mind? Because there's been a lot of controversy. For example, of course, we had the comments at the Donald Trump New York rally on Sunday comparing Puerto Rico to a floating island of garbage. Just comments like that, do you think even it matters at this stage? Or do you think that those comments would, at this stage, just 1 week to go, turn somebody off voting for Donald Trump?
Well, they do have the potential to turn voters off, and here's how. Look, there's a different coalition that is happening from 2020 with Joe Biden, with Kamala Harris, and a different coalition from that Democrats had in 2016. Donald Trump has that core coalition that he holds on to. They stay with him. And in that process of staying with him, what they also do, though, is he's not really moving undecideds. So when he's talking about and going to that extremist language, that can actually turn off some of the voter subsets he needs. African-American males, Latinos and Latinx voters, all of those voters, a lot of them newer voters, emerging voters, important in states like Arizona or Nevada, they're going to decide late. They're going to vote on their breaks at work on Monday and Tuesday. As a result of that, they can be turned off. And this becomes that margins game. And that's partly why we see this race so close because of the margins in those swing states, notably just a few, for example, like Pennsylvania, where Donald Trump was today. But then he's also expanding his campaign and moving to a state like Virginia or New Mexico. They're trying to push forward that they're confident and robust when they should be drawing their voters out, because the early vote was Republican, but now it's settled into more of a Democratic vote, more female vote than male. And that's where you need to be and putting your messages forward, especially with those swing voters in the last, say, 5 or 6 days. Again, less than 150 hours.
All right, David, who's your money on?
The money's on Harris to win the popular vote, slightly on the Electoral College vote. The question is whether she's one Electoral College state ahead or not, say in the 270 range, but a slow count could flip things together with some of those legal challenges that we would expect after November 5th.
David McCuan, thank you so very much indeed. A professor and chair of political science at the Sonoma State University, joining us from California. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.